Hey everyone, it's Investment Tuesday with me, Paul. And this week we have a bonanza, a real bonanza. I remember what the word was originally conceived from. It'll give you a hint as to where we are going, but today's video, and I want to get the title correct because I was very proud I came up with this, all right? But it's not hype, this is real. Today's video is about the biggest bull market that no one is talking about. No one's talking about it. No one's talking about it. It's insane. I mean, this is a bull market that has generated, I think we have like 20 plus stocks across ATG portfolios, and we do not have a single loser. Not one loser among these stocks from this bull market. And yet no one is talking about it. No one is talking about it. And we'll get into what this bull market is. We'll get into why no one is talking about it. And I'm going to tell you why, in my judgment, this is going to be big. And, in some period of time, people will come back and be like, I wish somebody told me in 2025 to buy these. I would have made so much money. But that's how it always is, right? We're always looking backward. We wish we did that. We coulda, we shoulda, right? All right. But before I get into all of that, let me do all of our legal disclaimers and disclosures quickly, because people tell me, Paul, I'm tired of reading them. Yeah, well, this is what the lawyers say is required before any of this kind of content is showed. And if you go on YouTube channels, you'll see we are not alone in doing this. All right. This video and all the content from ATG Digital is not investment or financial advice. It's presented to you as opinion, information, engagement, and entertainment. Whatever you choose to do with it, it is your responsibility because it is your money. Next, all ATG Digital content may contain errors, oversights, or mistakes. Understand that investment operations, buying, selling stock, crypto, options, etc., have significant risks and can lead to the loss of your principal. Bottom line, you could lose money. Next, I, the owners, employees, contractors of ATG Digital, own, trade, transact in the securities that are mentioned in this video and all content from ATG Digital. We do not take money from companies or crypto sponsors, promoters to recommend their stocks or crypto tokens. We publish an incredible amount of content. Quite a bit of it is for subscribers, but a ton of it is just completely free, including this YouTube video. Then there's my Spotify podcast, which I'll be recording this week and which will get published the week after. And then every market day, we publish the Substack. Next, social media, X, Instagram, Facebook. We are all pretty active there. X is the most active of them all. And then here is a plug for becoming a member of this YouTube channel. What do you get for being a member? Well, number one, you get early access to my videos. So instead of seeing it on Tuesday, you get to see it on Monday. And we have just introduced very recently exclusive content for members, which comes out periodically. And in that content, we try to highlight particular opportunities and also give you a little bit of an inside view of how I go about analyzing these opportunities or giving you some unique insight into the particular opportunities. So if you want to check that out, well, then you would go to the YouTube channel and you see behind there's this, let me go and find this here. If you click on this, it pops this up and you join this channel, and then you can have access to these exclusive member benefits. From there, we also have subscriptions that you can choose to buy. Subscriptions begin at $9.99 for our silver tier and go up from there. What do you get for a subscription? Well, you get access to trades to the various subscription model portfolios, follow up on those trades, and of course, give you market commentary on what is going on right now that affects the prices of pretty much everything, including the stocks and investments in these portfolios. All right, let me close off that tab because tab management becomes very, very, very complicated while doing this. All right. All right, I went into a little bit about what this video is about, which is there is an enormous bull market that really, it's crazy to me that it's not like more hyped, because having come from the world of investment newsletters, this particular investment, I'll say for the vast majority of the time I was there, people there were looking for this to be in a bull market of this kind for the entire time I was there. And now that it's actually happening, shockingly, there is no hype. There is no mania. There is no wild craziness about it all. I mean, not from, remember all the promotions that those guys do? Yeah, there's no promotions about this. I mean, the crazy thing is that it's like this enormous bull market. You know why? Because it is producing winner after winner after winner across our ATG digital portfolios. I mean, I think we've got 3 or 4 stocks in silver tier, 3 or 4 stocks in gold tier. I think we have 12 or maybe 13 or maybe 14 in diamond tier, and they are all, every single last one of them is like a gain, and not small ones. I mean, we only put these in like, what? Let me go and check here. Yeah, I mean, the earliest one in diamond tier is from March, right? Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's barely 5 months and these are up 40, 50, 60, 70, almost 100%. So yeah, it is happening. It is big and it's happening. All right, enough time has been spent teasing this big bull market. What is it? What is it? Well, it's gold and silver and precious metals. I would venture that if you walked around, or we just went through Labor Day when people have barbecues and people chit chat, did anybody talk to you about gold? I don't think so. Seems unlikely. Did everybody talk to you about AI and tech and how they've got NVIDIA? Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. So I mean, that's the thing. Like right now, people are just completely consumed by AI and tech, and no one cares. And from my 30 plus years experience of being in markets, is that's exactly how the biggest bull markets always start. They start where vast majority of people just really don't know, don't care. Wow. Well, because most of our thoughts about what to invest in come from some form of media, right? I mean, it used to be legacy media, Wall Street Journal, Barron's, CNBC. Today, it's very much social media, X, Reddit, places like that. But my experience is that bull markets show up really in unexpected places, and in ways that nobody can imagine. Which is like the idea of an enormous gold bull market, this near ancient metal, right? That's so counter to everything that people are thinking about today, AI, and obviously I'm talk a great deal about crypto, but it seems like a it's like that, like kind of like that shouldn't be happening, right? And that's critical, right? Because what it does is that people like, nah, that can't be for real. That's it's got to be all about AI and and stuff like that. So gold and silver, who cares? Now we care at HEG Digital because the biggest learning I've had over my career is this, which is that the biggest fundamentals are investor behavior and market psychology. Or if you want to, make it into sensational terms, fear and greed. All right. I mean, these are the true fundamentals. So it kind of makes perfect sense, that at this point, with people crazy wild about, AI, NVIDIA, Broadcom, Google, whatever. Yeah, I mean, nobody really cares. I'll have to say that I've gotten almost no subscriber questions about gold or silver. In fact, we did our quarterly, I'm not quarterly, I think a semi-annual live stream, a couple of weeks ago. Did I get a single question about gold or silver? Nah, not interested, not interested. So it kind of makes perfect sense. That people's focus, including our subscribers, is on AI. Like I have no thoughts that, I'm sure we have some hardcore subscribers that are kind of going along pretty much along with our portfolios. But my best guess is that the vast majority of our subscribers are in the same boat as the vast majority of other investors. They are loaded up to the gills with tech and AI, loaded up to the gills. But you'll see that, after a few years of large gains, people come rushing back in and be like, oh, gold, silver. Oh my God, gold's at whatever, 7,000, silver's at, 65 or 70. All in, and of course that'll be like right into some kind of correction or some kind of, panic, etc. And I mean, I know that the vast majority of the viewers are still pretty much from Banyan Hill days, so I can put these anecdotes out there, which is that when I first put tech stocks right into the portfolio in 2016, oh my God. I mean, I was hated. People hated it. They, back then they loved gold. I mean, they wanted me to like recommend gold and silver stocks. By that time, what was hated? Well, yeah, technology was kind of like where, gold and silver today. People were not interested. People thought that, this was useless, would not go anywhere. So one of the great signs of a huge bull market is boredom, indifference, and disinterest. And all three, you can check all three for gold and silver. All right. I got notes here. We're taking, time, trouble, effort here with these YouTube videos. All right. Let's do some, let's look at some charts. All right. Let's look at some charts here. Because as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, 10,000 words.
There's a new bull market in town, but it won't favor the timid or those smitten by old market darlings. No, this bull market is for the bold, those willing to ride new horses into the sunset. We would know. This ain't our first rodeo. To grab the bull market by the horns, get your Trade War Survival Guide available in the description of this video.
All right, what you see here is from 1979 till today. And you can see the enormous run that gold has been on since about 2024. It's gone from 2,000 to about 3,600. And I'll say, on the way there, I mean, you've really not heard a great deal. I mean, if a stock in tech had done this, there would be a lot of fuss about it. But there really hasn't been a great deal of a focus on this. You'll also see that from sort of like there was like a bit of a run in 2008 because of the global financial crisis, where people were like, the Federal Reserve is printing so much money, buy gold, it's going to the moon. But that didn't really work out because that was a period of deflation, not inflation. And so all the people that thought that there was going to be, hyperinflation, all these things, yeah, it didn't pan out. And as a result, gold sort of like, kind of peaked what in about 2011, and then just kind of like did this for a long period of time until we went through the whole COVID thing. And you can see gold prices, about 2022, you can see this is where they get going as the great COVID inflation really kicks in, and investors start to seek out gold, which is a traditional safe haven and hedge against inflation. So it's not a surprise or a shock there. But here's the big surprise, right? I mean, from about 2022, early 2022, all the way into all the way to 2023, interest rates were going up. I mean, and not in a small way, in a big way, right? And normally, if there's inflation and if the Federal Reserve is taking care of business, as interest rates go up, the price of gold will fall down as people think, well, those interest rates are going to bring inflation under control. And with that, I don't really need gold. But what we've seen is somewhat astonishing, which is that interest rates went up, but gold prices kept going up even as interest rates went up. And what that shows is that it indicates that a large number of gold holders were simply unwilling to sell their old gold positions, even as like a whole new wave of buyers came in. Why do I say that? Because you don't get a chart that looks like that, if all the old sellers are like, here, let me cash out. Interest rates are much higher. Let me take my gold profits, put it in the bank, and get 4.5% or go get 5%. No, instead, they were clearly unwilling to sell their gold. And as waves of new investors, which included central banks from around the world, obviously, hedge funds, institutional investors, gold prices, kept taking off. So bottom line, this gold bull market is all about one thing: inflation. And why is it completely about inflation? Which is that buyers of gold are betting that long-term inflation is not under control. It is not under control, and that's despite the Federal Reserve having taken rates from essentially zero to 5.3%. Now we're talking about cutting interest rates. And gold is telling you, like, yeah, okay, short term, sure, inflation 3%. But people are like, no, I think I want to keep my gold. And then there's other people joining in and be like, you know what? We too want gold. So it's about inflation. It's about, of course, there's changes going on at the Federal Reserve where previously 2% was the rate of inflation that they looked to hold. And now that's become like the floor rather than the ceiling. And so the gold market is definitely on to, the right idea, which is that we're going to have long-term higher inflation than what we have experienced, over the last 20 years at least or so. So higher rates are not making people sell. Instead, the people who own gold are buying more, and there's new buyers. So this is very similar from my study of previous gold bull markets to the 1970s era gold. And here, let's see, another chart. And you'll see that gold goes from about $50 Here it shows to about 550, but if you really extend this out like a couple of years, which mark the end of that bull market, it goes to like nearly $1,000. All right. So based on previous bull markets, um, which I'll say that this gold bull market's going to run, I'll say a minimum of 7 to 10 years. In the last great one, which is the one that you're staring at, 1970 to 1979, gold goes from 50 to 1,000. So what? That's a 20x return. Silver also went on its own run. Let's see, we can put up a silver chart here so you can see like, okay, well, this is we don't have, the service that I use does not have information prior to 1979, but this is a chart of silver from 1979 to present, and you'll see again here a huge breakout in silver prices, starting 2022. So again, about the time when we have the great COVID inflation. And again, once again, want to point out, like during this period in 2023, interest rates are going up. Interest rates are going up. So people are not cashing out to go take advantage of higher rates. All right. So, okay. Getting back down to this, a big bull market for gold, silver, precious metals. I mean, it may take in some of the others like platinum and others, but those are much harder to invest in. And, people can go at it. I mean, all of these are going up for more or less the same reason. So, I mean, you can spread yourself as thin as you want, or you can, like at ATG Digital, we've got 3 or 4. And as I tell subscribers, like, we could, I could put 5 more and they'll more or less have the same return structure. But I showed you the charts for gold and silver, right? I mean, in the last great bull market, we got 20x. I think silver was much greater than that. I don't have the numbers offhand. But the truth is that gold and silver by themselves are not the best investments to take advantage of this huge bull market. The gold, the best place really to invest in this kind of like this rampant, really robust, like, bull market for precious metals is in gold and silver mining stocks. Why is that? Well, a rising metal price rockets a gold or silver mining company's profitability. Operating a gold mine is mostly fixed cost. The biggest expenses are pretty much all up front, right? Just think it through. You got to find the deposit. You got to make sure the gold and silver is there, right? I mean, this is an expensive process. The vast majority of, things, gold, people think like, oh, this is going to be the biggest, deposit since whatever, and it doesn't pan out. So there's a lot of failure involved. And then you find a good one. Then you got to develop the mine, which costs, hundreds of millions of dollars, all these regulations. Then once you develop the mine, you got to start to operate it, right? And it doesn't like, you can't flick a switch and suddenly do it. You got to like, each mine is slightly different environment. So it's quite tricky to actually operate these mines. And it can take, 10, 20 years to get this entire process through. So once you're there, you kind of know like, okay, these are my costs, because those costs are, mostly kind of baked in. There are some number of smaller variable costs that change from year to year, but the vast majority of the cost of a gold mine comes before really, it really is producing, any kind of revenue, any kind of profit, or any kind of gold for that matter. So in a scenario where, you've got an operating mine, right? And just like, let's go back, let's say 5 years, right? And the price of gold is, let's say, about $1,500, you look at your costs and be like, well, how much am I making? Well, if the market price of gold is $1,500, your costs are about $1,500, you're not really making a lot. That doesn't really excite a lot of investors. And so, your stocks sort of like, tend to like tread water. You got to find other ways, to get investors interested. Hey, we've got the greatest mine, with the greatest discovery in history. But if gold prices jump, like I've shown you, from what, $1,500 to $3,500, and your costs are 1,500, and 1,500, I didn't pluck that out of the air. That is approximately what what's called the all-in sustaining cost of producing an ounce of gold. You are making $2,000 per ounce without doing anything. Same mine, same operation, same thing, except now you are just literally, the gold mine is actually a gold mine. It is minting cash, over 100% margins. And if you go and look back, essentially we have not had those kinds of conditions for what, like from the gold peaked in like 1980, 1981. So essentially for like, let's say 40 years, something like that, we've just not had conditions, but they now have those conditions where they're making 100%, they're making 150%. And this is why gold and silver mining stocks are absolutely rocketing higher. So here are some of the biggest companies, and you can see Newmont Mining, Agnico Eagle, Barrick, Anglo Gold. I can't tell what that is. Gold Fields, Kinross, whatever. All of these you can see they're all in cost. 1651, 1183, 1800. I mean, it's not all the same. Remember, I told you each mine is different, right? And so the cost per mine is definitely going to change. But imagine being, having this, and when you go to sell, it's $3,500. You are minting money, making money hand over fist, and that is the reason. That is the reason why we've got this enormous bull market in place right now for gold. Bottom line, we've got an enormous bull market underway for gold, silver, precious metals. There is no hype. There is no mania. There is no big to-do, no wild wackiness, no meme stalkingness in this area. Nobody really kind of cares, because why? Where our attention is somewhere else. And I'm pretty sure even after watching this video, people would be like, I wish you'd given us an AI stock, Paul. I know, it is what it is. But I also know this, which is that the biggest gains in my career, in my experience, they don't come from hype. They don't come from mania. They don't come from bubble valuations. They come from low prices, low valuations, and low expectations. That sound familiar? Yeah, sounds like gold mining stocks, if you ask me. Second insight is that gold and silver will do completely fine, right? But the mining companies, they will far outperform the metals themselves. Why? Because remember, the key to big gains is not actually in the economics. It's about investor sentiment and valuations. What's investor sentiment? Well, investor sentiment is, when I'm in a bad mood and I'm pessimistic, I will pay 1-time sales. I will pay 3 times earnings. But when I'm in a really good mood, I will pay 100-time sales. I will pay 40 times earnings. And because gold mining companies have sales, they have earnings. Right now, nobody's really paying attention. So, the sentiment is fairly low and the valuations are low, but they can be bid up. And, these companies, remember, I mean, they're making 150%. And in the scenario that we're in, which is what? a gold bull market driven by the ultimate fundamentals for gold, which is this inflation, the idea that, hey, future money is not as valuable as current money. That underpins the biggest gold bull markets. 3,500 is not the top, right? I mean, this is going to keep going. In the last great bull market, we go from 50 to 1,000, so 20x. I mean, I'll say the beginning of this bull market is about $1,500. How high could we go? I mean, 20x would be $30,000 in 10 years or so. I mean, it won't get there in a straight line, but I mean, remember, fixed cost businesses, right? I mean, those mines, I mean, in 3 years, they're all in sustaining costs. Yeah, maybe it gets to 1,800, maybe it gets to 1,900. 5 years from now, maybe it's 2,300, but the price of gold is going to be 3x that, which means sales and earnings, are just constantly going up year after year after year. And that will eventually draw people in, be like, I got to be in this. This thing's just going up. All it does is go up. So right now, sentiment is low, but that is an opportunity, right? I mean, our company, ATG, we go against the grain. That's what ATG stands for. You buy low. You buy when valuations are low. You buy when sentiment is low. You buy when there is no mania, right? There is just no crowd. You can buy, right? And yeah, there will be short-term volatility. There's short-term volatility in everything. Still, this is a bull market to make you rich. This is a bull market to make you rich. People who love gold, even they're not excited. I mean, I track this sentiment. They're scared. They're like, it's gone up too much. It's gone up too fast. Yeah, they haven't studied market history sufficiently. They don't really consider investor behavior, market psychology. Those are the things that really mark the market. Those are the true fundamentals. And they say this one's a big, big winner. All right. Now, of course, everyone will say like, well, Paul, that's all fine. You should give us a stock to invest in. All right. I'm going to show you one. This is from the silver tier. I'm not going to share some tiny little stock. All right. This is Franco-Nevada Corp. And the reason I picked this out, this is one of our more unusual, unique holdings. This is not an actual gold mining company. They are what's called a royalty company. It's they get streams of royalties from mines operated by a lot of different companies, right? How they get access to that? Well, I told you that, a mine is a very expensive, and then it doesn't produce anything until it starts to operate 10, 20 years later. So you need money up front from somewhere, investors somewhere, the bank is got to lend you money. The bank doesn't really like to lend gold miners money because it's pretty risky. So Franco-Nevada, what they do is, they know all the gold mining companies. They know there's always somebody seeking out the next deposit, and they very selectively hand money out in exchange for royalty streams against the gold production from particular mines. They're not investment in the company. They have a contract to get royalty streams based on gold production from particular mines. What's the benefit of this? Well, the benefit of this is that they don't operate any mines. They don't have to deal with any of those complications. They also have they don't need like a large labor force. Essentially a bunch of guys in a room collecting checks, right? So Franco-Nevada, let's see how it's done. I mean, like most gold stocks, these have gone up a great deal. And you can see here, Franco-Nevada is in green. You can see how it's outperformed. This is a one-year chart, has outperformed both gold and silver, which gets back to my point that you want to be in the miners or something, like a miner, which is like Franco-Nevada, which benefits from miners, um, to really get the big gains associated with this big bull market. But I will also say this, which is that in all truth, Franco-Nevada, because of its safety, because of the fact that they don't take risk, and also because of the fact that people know that it's a royalty stream company, and so it never quite gets the sentiment juice, the valuation juice of an actual mining company, right? Where you can bid up the price to sales ratio. You can bid up the earnings. People just don't get quite as excited about royalty stream. This one, people are like, this is safe. This is like a good, solid, like almost like a really, like a blue chip company that you would own. Be like, even if things go wrong, this one will be fine because they don't have operations. All their money's kind of like guaranteed. It's against the mines, all those things. But those same things also mean that it's not as exciting, right? And just not as sexy as something where like they've got the biggest mine, they've got the lowest cost, they're going to have the biggest sales. We're not to that point in the bull market yet. So Franco-Nevada is doing, as well as everything else. But once this bull market is really going to get going, yeah, the gold mining companies, some of the small ones, are just going to rip higher because they're going to go from like right now, maybe, they found their deposit 5 years ago and their costs are 2,500, but at whatever, 4,000 or 5,000 and make that turn to profitability. Yeah. People, will want to own those. And if you want a smaller company that I am going to do a quick mini video about, well, become a member and then you will get access to our members only content where I will be covering a silver company that is smaller, that it actually mines. And I didn't mention this, silver, because it is more speculative, because it is also has an industrial use, silver could outperform gold. So in that scenario, yeah, this silver stock could just absolutely just knock it out of the park. All right. That is Investment Tuesday for today. The biggest bull market that no one's talking about. Gold and silver. No hype, no mania, nobody making memes about it. It's just, hey, all there for you. Prices are low, valuations are low, expectations are low, and an enormous, huge bull market lies ahead. All right. If you want gold and silver stocks across silver tier, gold tier, and diamond tier, they're the same as the bull market, right? Well, atgdigital.media is where you can go and find them. Thank you for attending Investment Tuesday. This is Paul saying goodbye.